Hey guys, and welcome back to week 2 of the Porsche Cup car here on iRacing with Coach Dave Academy. My name's Matt Emery with Veloce Vexed, here for another week of Porsche Cup action. But yeah, firstly, we'll get into the Hot Black Guide. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the end of the video. We're going to talk about a bit of coaching that might be available. So stay tuned till the end, guys. So let's jump into the Hot Lap Guide then for the Brands Indy circuit. Probably the shortest circuit you're going to drive all season, to be honest. There's not many corners. The lap's about 45 seconds long on average. So yeah, not too much to go through here. You start the lap then at the final corner, taking a nice wide line out of the final corner and onto the straight to the left-hand side. Now turn 1 is completely blind. As you remember from last season, there was also Brands Hatch, but the full layout. Which we did the lap guide for as well. But yeah, coming into turn 1, completely blind. Your braking point is just about the 150 boards and the 100-meter board on the left-hand side. You're braking the time in the middle of the both of them. Just steadily onto the brake pedal, about 50%, just carrying the brake into the corner. There's a couple of different lines you can take. It really depends on your driving style. If you tend to go towards, turn in a bit early and go towards the apex, that's fine. You can also take a nice wide line just to really make sure you get all the best exit that you can. Into the corner you can as well use this inside curve just to help rotate the car. You also can go round it. Again, it's completely up to you guys. Both lines are pretty much as quick as each other. If you are struggling with understeer, then you might want to use the curb a bit just to get the car rotated. But the main thing really is the exit, guys. So just got to make sure you get all that exit speed that you can. One thing I would say is that if you do miss the apex and you end up somewhere out here, it's really hard to recover the time, and you're going to lose, up to half a second potentially. So just make sure you're braking earlier than you need to. Obviously, it is downhill, so it's a bit of a tricky braking zone. About 50%. I also choose to hold it in 4th gear for this corner, just to keep the minimum revs up. Also, when you shift down, the rear end snaps slightly, so it's just to keep the car a bit more stable. If you really want to, you can go down into 3rd gear. That's not too much of an issue. Again, I just prefer to go into 4th gear. Then back on the throttle as early as you can. The car always feels like it's going to go off into the gravel. I mean, you're looking here, full throttle. I mean, I'm in line with the barrier here with the gravel. And then right as the car plunges and levels out, it straightens up quite nicely, and you can follow this bit of AstroTurf round and up to turn 2. Also, don't be afraid to dip a wheel or two into the gravel. As long as you're not, taking the mick too much, you'll be fine. You won't get off track, and it won't cost you too much time. But I'll play that through for you guys once more. So braking just about 120 meters before the corner, hugging the inside curb, using a tiny bit of gravel on the exit, just making sure we're using all this AstroTurf we can, and then up towards turn 2. Now you're braking just before the shadow, or just before this banner at the top here, and just before your 50-meter board. In fact, for a better reference, you can say the end of the gravel here, or the end of the AstroTurf. And then again, just slowly, steadily braking into the corner, making sure we're nicely trail braking. I tend to also V off this corner quite a lot. You notice I'm not taking too much of a wide entry. I'm turning in quite early here. And there's a bit of camber you can use on the inside just to get the car turned as well, which I'm using. And then just following the curve all the way around, just being really patient, making sure we get back on the throttle as soon as we can. And using all of the exit curb as well. So you notice I'm going in 2nd gear for this corner. So you notice we're apexing very early. We hit this first apex here. Then just being really patient, following the curb round, and then back fully on the throttle. Then we go back down the hill. Now for this corner, this 90-degree left, I actually tend to hold it in third. You notice you can hear the car here. It wants to shift up to fourth. I tend to hold it in third and just maintain the third gear all the way through the corner as well. But just find again, it's a lot more stable for the car. The rear is a lot more happy if you just stick it in the same gear. So that, I mean, that it's up to you if you guys want to go up to fourth. I prefer to just keep it in third gear. It's very stable for the car as well, and the car quite likes it. You also notice I'm using there's a little bit of AstroTurf you can use there. So I tend to use it. It's quite hard to get the car angled right, so just make sure you practice that. But it really helps to open up the corner. So I'm just getting my right-hand tyres onto this bit of mesh or AstroTurf, whatever it is here. You notice I'm also braking in a straight line pretty much as well, in line with the AstroTurf, just setting it up for the corner. Still braking here into the corner, and then just before we hit the curb, we're getting back on the throttle. Just making sure you're apexing just before the middle of the corner, and then back on full throttle as early as we can. Again, for the exit, you can use all of this AstroTurf here. The limit is just about on the edge, to be honest, but you've got to make sure you're back onto the track before the edge of the AstroTurf. Otherwise, you'll clip the grass and we'll get off track. So you notice here, I'm all the way out, and then as soon as I can, I'm back onto the track, and just sort of aiming in a straightest way possible to get back onto the racing line. But I'll play it through for you once more. Third gear, just being really stable with the brakes as well. Apex it nice and early, and then back on full throttle. Into one of the fastest corners, probably the best corner in my opinion on the whole circuit. Not that there's too much to choose from anyway. But opening up really as much as we can to the limit on the entry. So again, you've got this AstroTurf you can use. I'm all the way to the limit, to the edge of the grass. Dab of the brake on the way in, holding it in fourth gear, and sending it across this curb. And you've got to really have faith that the car's going to turn here, because you've got this big curb and a load of grass here on the right hand side. It's very easy to overshoot it slightly and go, firing across the grass. So be careful when you're out laps. Lap 1 and 2, the tyres aren't going to be too warm. So just be careful you're not sending it too hard over there on the first couple of laps while your tyres are still cold. I'll show you in cockpit cam as well. So using all of the entry across the curb and then across this secondary curb as well. You notice I'm sort of straight lining it, aiming for the edge of the final corner as well, just to set that up. And you really plan to get in the middle of the circuit for the last corner. You don't want to open it too much, just as you're going to lose time. You're throwing away time on the entry. You're going to slow up too much, and just throw away a bit of lap time there. So in the middle of the circuit, just holding our brakes really from this point here, from when you start touching this curb. Just holding our brakes all the way in. Really careful not to lock the tyres. And then you can use this inside curb to rotate the car quite nicely. Also notice I've short shifted up to third just to help the traction on the exit. This final corner is pretty horrible for traction. As you notice on the power here, I've got a full arm of opposite lock there, and the track kind of falls away from you. So the car sort of naturally wants to, go round on you. So you've got to be careful. Just make sure you're holding on to it as much as you can. Obviously the short shifting helps with that as well. So middle of the circuit, just braking down to second gear and then short shifting up to third. Keeping the rear in check on the exit, and then also using all of the exit track that we can, all the way to the white line, just to carry that exit speed as well. And then back across to the inside. Just take the shortest route to the line. Obviously the qualifying laps, you're going to be wanting to cut it as close as you can to the wall. In a race, just take the normal racing line down to turn 1 again. But yeah, that was the hot lap guide then for the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So that was the hot lap guide then for the Brands Indy circuit. I hope that was useful for you guys. Obviously that was for week 2 of the Porsche Cup car. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we've actually got coaching that will be now available on the coachdaveacademy.com website. I'm one of the coaches, so if you want a one-to-one session with myself, then get in contact with us on the website and we should be able to help you. Obviously check out the Discord as well. Any questions or any feedback you got, leave it in there, and we'll be happy to help you. But I will see you for week 3 next week, guys, and in the meantime, take care.